everybody, and welcome to the Little Fella Sports Podcast. And as you can see, we are here with Gurkeerat and Shreyas to discuss about India versus England third Test match, which is obviously completed in just 2 days. None of us expected that heading into the Test match. Obviously, in our preview, we did mention that we expect the conditions to face. Assist of bowlers, especially the spinners, because that's what you come to expect when it comes to Indian conditions. But then none of us really expected the game to end in 2 days. So we'll straight dive into the topic. So Gurkeerat, first things first. The talk of the town definitely is the pitch right now. So you can take over from now on.
See, my basic point is that so a test match cannot be ending in 2 days. So that is something that I'd say for starters. Uh, yes, you could say that the cricket that was there was exciting and sort of fast paced, but I think it also became at some stage a lottery in the sense of what all that was happening. You could put it down to the pitch somewhere, you can put it down to the quality of Indian spin bowling, and you can also put it down to the lack of technique from both English and Indian batsmen to a certain extent. But I mean, if you really want this fast-paced game in a test match, then it's we all are better off watching a T20 game. If you ask me, that is my opinion. You cannot be having a test match that is lasting for less than the duration of two ODI games, because I don't think any team batted 60 overs at all. So, and I think Joe Root summed up perfectly when he said that if he has taken a fifer, then it says something about the quality of pitch. I think it was very similar to the one that was there in 2004 in Mumbai at Wankhede when India Australia played each other and Michael Clark took a 6 for 9. uh, I would like you play that clip from the series preview where I had spoken how a rank turner is never going to help India's chances. It sort of gives the opposition an advantage to sort of come into the picture and sort of compete with India, because at no point of time you want to see that a Joe Root is becoming pretty much similar to what a Ravichandran Ashwin is. So you should play that clip and people would understand it. So that
I'll
is
play.
there. I think what also played a part was the pink ball. Someone mentioned, and I think it makes sense that the pink ball has a late has more lacquer than the red one, so it sort of skids on a little more than what the red ball does, and that is also where the batsman got beaten for pace. But yes, I personally did not enjoy this test match because you don't want a test match to be ending in less than 2 days.
I'll now play the clip where we discussed about this specific scenario in the preview, of course, of the Test series.
You see how India has played test cricket at home in the last decade. Pitches really don't make a difference. I mean, people think that India need to like if there's a rank turner there, it's going to be difficult. But I feel the opposite. I think when there's a rank turner, it's the biggest chance for any visiting team to beat India, because what happens then is that the quality between the spinners of two sides is minimal, because the pitch is doing enough. If there are rank turners, you will have a Michael Clark taking a 6 for 9, or a Stephen O'Keefe taking 12 wickets in a test match, and then changing things. It didn't work out, and when you have spinners like Monty Panesar and Graham Swan, as how they were in Mumbai 2012, it becomes all the more difficult. So I don't think there's a need for rank turner, and I think pitches will be very similar to what they were in 2016 when England toured. It's just that that showed how strong the Indian team was at home, because England scored 400 in the first innings in Mumbai and still lost by an innings. They scored 477 in Chennai in the first innings and still lost by an innings. So regardless of the how pitches are, I think India should back themselves to win.
Yeah, so pretty much what you covered just about a couple of minutes back in terms of the pitches. Really, we didn't expect such pitches to turn up because we thought it'll be a competitive game, and I thought to an extent where India will not really bother turning up and putting up rank turners, because the Indian team has really moved forward since say 2015-16, where we genuinely saw rank turners, especially in the South Africa home series, for example, where we saw absolute rank turners coming in and batsmen having no chance. But this was kind of similar, and I know you have already mentioned that you weren't happy about it, but who do you think is to probably blame here? I know it's easy to say it in hindsight, but do you think anyone can be blamed for this?
See, I think what has happened is that once India lost that first Test match, and considering the World Test Championship spot was up for stake, there was a sense of panic, especially how Joe Root had batted. So they sort of decided that okay, we'll have turning tracks, we'll have turning pitches that have a little more bounce and have pace, and then make Indian pacers sort of English pacers irrelevant, and then let's have a shootout sort of a thing. So I think India just panicked and decided that they'd have such pitches, considering how especially Anderson had bowled on day 5 of the first test. So I think that played a part. But yeah, like I said, I would have preferred India to dominate the English side that the way they did in 2016 and the way they dominated South Africa in 2019 at home. Do it on sporting pitches, or even against New Zealand when they were here in 2016. You play on sporting pitches, you play on pitches that offer something for everyone, and still beat other teams. I thought that I think the pitch in Dharamshala in 2017 was perhaps one of the best pitches that I've come across in the last 5 years for any venue, because it had everything it had something for everyone. It had a true bounce, which bowlers could extract if they were ready to bend their backs. It had some spin, some slow turn, and against bounce always helps spinners as well, as we've seen with someone like Ravichandran Ashwin. It had a little bit of grip because we saw Kuldeep Yadav do well. Then we saw the likes of Steve Smith score a century. India were able to sort of take a small lead, and then going into day 3, India really bowled well and sort of dismissed Australia cheaply. But I think that was a very very good pitch, and I'd like to sort of see. I'm okay, if there are slow turners, because each team should sort of look to extract home advantages. But what happens is, on such kind of pitches is you really don't talk of performances, because the way Rohit Sharma batted on day 1 should be spoken about. The way Akshar Patel bowled should be spoken about more. The way Ashwin has bowled, but 2 or 3 years from down the line, people won't remember this performance purely because it ended in 2 days.
Yeah, I think as you said, this was one of those marquee games. You had the pink ball test. It was Ishant Sharma's 100th test. I mean, we've all forgotten about that as well. And of course, Akshar Patel doing so well. 2 games into his test career, Ashwin getting his 400th wicket. There's so many things which happened in this game, but as you said, this game will probably be best remembered for the fact that this was the fastest end to the test match since 1940, since the World War II. So it's kind of crazy. I mean, what, we're nearly 80, 85 years since then, and we haven't had a result like this. So yeah, in some ways, this is a test match which won't be remembered for the best reasons. So
Yeah,
coming on to Shreyas, yeah, tell me.
I'm happy that Ishant took the first wicket in the England innings. Else, it wouldn't have looked too great for him to go wicketless in his 100th test.
Exactly. In some ways, you'd say that that's obviously a good thing. So Shreyas, coming over to you. Obviously the batting performances of both teams, especially the words of Virat Kohli, was kind of telling. He said even though the pitch was obviously not purely batting friendly, he said that our batting performance was very poor. The lack of application was very poor, and the fact that he felt that the ball was coming on nicely to the bat. So in some ways, how did you find India's batting performance to be? And of course, then we can even touch upon England's batting performances as well.
Yeah, look, I mean, I don't have much to say with respect to England's batting because there was one graphic that was showed in Star Sports how good Axar bowled. That accuracy with which he bowled, I mean, it will make life difficult for any batsman. Of course, when you're coming away from home, England found it tougher. It came as no surprise for me. And with respect to Indian wickets are concerned, I mean, it's frankly disappointing to see Kohli throw a wicket at the end of the day like that. I mean, the story could have been different if he had stayed in the crease and if he saw off the day and today if India got to some 250 or something, maybe the story would have been different. But yeah, I mean, pitch of course it is bowler friendly, but I enjoyed the match. I mean. I always maintain this thing that test match should have variety. I mean, you should have tracks which are flat like the first test match, and pitches should be there like this too. And whenever you go away, you should have test matches with green tops as well. So yeah, I mean India could have done better, but still Rohit Sharma did a fantastic job. I mean I don't know what to say because I'm such a you all know that I'm a huge Rohit fan, and it's so good to see him play well after a long time. He's showing the world what he's made of. So yeah, happy about it.
Yeah, I think especially Rohit, both test matches. Sorry, even last test match, the 160 he scored was on a very very difficult track, as we saw as the game progressed, and I think both innings have a huge value in terms of contributions for the win. And I think these two test matches were in some way very positive. Um, in the way you look at Rohit Sharma's test career as a story of it being largely unfulfilled potential, right? Because so far he's nearly 34 right now, and so far he's not really cracked Test cricket with all due respect. So it's really nice to see him perform consistently, and hopefully for India's sake he does continue. Obviously, tougher challenges lie ahead, but at the moment it's really positive that he's pretty much taking the role of a senior batsman and doing really well. Moving on, now we've obviously got to talk about Ashwin, the man who's reached 400 Test wickets. I mean, he's the fastest Indian to do so and second fastest after Murli. So I think Gurkeerat, starting off with you, what else can we say about this guy? This guy's got centuries with the bat. He's been a proven match winner for now nearly a decade for India with the ball, and there's obviously been questions at certain point of his career where people say that he's not performed away from home, he's not doing enough away from home. But I mean the performance in Australia clearly showed that he's a very very good bowler and definitely one of the greatest cricketers India have ever produced. And I think in many ways, he's a very underrated player. I mean, I know that he's picked 400 wickets. I know that he's got all these achievements behind him. But then, in still some ways, I feel that he's a very underrated cricketer. So, a word on Ashwin and his land and him reaching the landmark today.
He's not only the second fastest, but I think I saw a stat which said that he had the best strike rate for bowlers who've reached 400 Test wickets. So I think whatever praise you do about Ashwin is not enough. I think the biggest metric to judge his match winning skills is the number of man of the series performances or awards he has had over the years. I think he has seven, which is more than even Sachin Tendulkar, and which is the most by any Indian. So I think that speaks volumes about what Ashwin has done for Indian cricket and how big a player he has been. I think why he probably doesn't have that cult is because of how previously he had fared in overseas test matches. But I think now we are seeing a second coming of Ravichandran Ashwin, and we will only see him improve when India travel to say England or South Africa, because now he's much more secure about his game. I think he's worked on his fitness also, which sort of allows him to put in those extra yards and sort of vary his pace, especially on the quicker side of things, a lot more than what he was doing before.
Yeah, I think you talked about that last bit. I mean, for example, Southampton in 2018, it was
Mm.
a point where his fitness probably let him down, and even on a track which you'd expect Ashwin to do well, he kind of wasn't at his best. And many were questioning him after that performance whether he was past his best, even at 32. But obviously, it's great to see that he's pretty much had a second coming, right? I mean, as you mentioned, he's bowling at a different level, and I think he's bowling at the best he's ever bowled in the last few years at least. So it's really positive to see Ashwin do the way he's doing. The other player, I mean, we can't forget about Akshar Patel. In just his second game, he's picked 11 wickets in this Test match. I mean, I know that the conditions were favorable, and the fact that obviously you've got a situation where England aren't the greatest players of spin, but you have to commend the fact that he was replacing the huge boots of Ravindra Jadeja. And many of us, I think all of us here would have been slightly worried about the fact that Jadeja is missing, and we don't really have we didn't have a direct replacement for Jadeja at that point, but obviously Akshar has come in and done outstandingly well. So coming over to you, Shreyas, how impressed have you been by Akshar's performance, and in general, were you expecting this, or because I'm certainly surprised the way he's done with the ball, especially. So, what are your thoughts on Akshar Patel?
Yeah, not at all, Anirudh. I mean, I certainly had my reservations against him. So it's quite surprising, and I'm really impressed with the way that he bowled in the first innings. I mean, I just have no words. It's just too good. So we are lucky that we have all the three good spinners with us. I mean, even if you include Kuldeep, we have four really good spinners with us, which many other countries don't have. Imagine. Ashwin, Jadeja, and Akshar, and even Kuldeep playing together. It'll be fun to watch. But yeah, as you said, he might have to sit out once Jadeja comes back. That might be a little bit tough for him, but still, it's really impressive and really good sign for India, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, Ravindra Jadeja, the test bowler, is absolutely world class. There's no question about that fact, and I think it's not too bad. I mean, if you're a decent replacement Jadeja, I mean, you're doing a really good job in that. And I'm sure
Yeah, fair enough.
he's put himself in contention for the series to come. You can't expect Ashwin and Jadeja to play every series, right? So in that way, we were kind of worried about our bowling stocks beyond Ashwin and Jadeja, and Akshar has come in and bowled really well. And I think it's a positive for Indian cricket that we've got such good depth. I mean, we saw our fast bowling depth, for example, in Australia going in Gabba, and we had three guys: Shardul Thakur, Natarajan, Navdeep Saini, Mohammad Siraj, guys who barely played Test cricket at that point, come in and get us to a Test victory. So I think it's really positive for Indian cricket. So closing thoughts, Gurkirat. Overall, I know India leading 2-1. We've obviously got the fourth Test to go, but looking good for the World Test Championship as things stand. We'll obviously have the fourth Test preview later in the week, because we've still got an entire week for the fourth Test match to go. But from a World Test Championship perspective, things looking good, right?
Yeah, they look good. India should back themselves to win the next test as well. Or if not win, then they should actually draw it. So they do look good. Just want to share some numbers that uh, this is Akshar Patel's third consecutive 5 wicket haul, and he's only the third Indian to do it after Javagal Srinath and Harbhajan Singh. Srinath did it. Srinath has had three consecutive 5 wicket hauls. Harbhajan has had four, and he took all four of them in the 2001 series against Australia. So just wanted to come up with this. Another thing is that this has been the first Test match where Jasprit Bumrah has gone wicketless.
Big wicket.
So, and I think I saw another stat which said that this is the first Test match where both Anderson and Broad have played together and gone wicketless. So, just few of these numbers. Overall, like I said, not much left to discuss. I think there's been a lot of talk as to if England selected the right team or not. I felt that they picked up the right team because playing a Dom Bess wouldn't really have helped, considering his lack of control, or even a Moeen Ali if he was available. I think Joe Root pretty much did the job.
Did the
Where
job of best.
yeah, where the match turned into India's favor was the way Akshar and Ashwin bowled. I also have a theory, but I'm not sure if it's something that really holds or is true. I think that the batting genuinely became easier in
Yeah, yeah,
the lights. I think it probably had to do something with the dew that was available over there. It sort of made sure that the ball wasn't gripping as much as it was gripping under when the first two sessions were in play. And I think India sort of benefited from that after losing the toss.
I think
But
I kind of
this
agree
is
with
this
you,
is
but
something I don't think anyone would have foreseen.
exactly.
So
I mean, a lot of the talk was largely true. The fact that the second and third sessions of the day would be the hardest time to bat, considering the light and the pink ball coming into effect. But I kind of agree with you. But I think the sample set again is too small for
yeah,
us to make a conclusive judgment as to whether the batting really got easier after the lights came into effect. So anyway, I mean, think this was a test match in some ways where things again, as we're repeating again, that will be remembered for many things apart from the cricket itself. But overall, I think it's a very good win for India, and India should take a lot of confidence heading into the fourth game. The fourth game is obviously a solid week away. So thanks a lot, guys. Do please like, share, subscribe to our channel. We've got a lot of content lined up for you, and thanks a lot to Gurkirat and Shreyas for joining us. And thanks, guys.
thank you.
thank you.